Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Hey, this is Juanita. Well, it looks like it's going to be sprinkling today. It may even rain a lot. I don't know. The clouds are really forming out here and I already see some sprinkles on the ground. But I'm gonna give it a go, and if I don't get it completed, well then, there's always tomorrow, as my father always told me. So for now, I'm going to be now working on this whole side yard. This side here, I'm going to walk you through it, so stay tuned. Okay, so this is what I'm hoping to accomplish. This was what I accomplished on my other video. So if you haven't seen that video, go catch that video. And I'm really happy with the results of it. But now it is time for me to tackle all this down alongside the house. Now, I will show before and after pictures at the end, but I've got a rose bush over here to the right that needs to be spruced up. I have another fern right below it that needs to be cleaned up. A little bit of weeds around the circle, and there's my chickens. And then I've got some ground cleaning up. I've got a fuchsia here, right here, that I need to kind of just spruce up a little bit. These two plants, the one to the right here and the one to the left that's flowering, those two just need to be a little prompt. They're beautiful, and I have another one over here, and I just haven't had time to clean it up. I've got some lilies coming up here, as well as some Japanese grass. My Japanese maple is coming out nicely. I have I believe it's a tubular lilac plant that it's kind of a bush, and I need to cut that back a little bit. Then for the most part, the rest of the yard is pretty simple. Like I said on previous videos, I am a woman of low maintenance, and therefore everything that I have grown in this yard, pretty much once I clean it up in the springtime, the only time I need to really touch it is in the fall when I'm, cleaning up leaves and doing a little sprucing before winter. But outside of that, it pretty much is, I don't really get much weeds other than over the winter, and as you can see, they're very minimal. I have another Chinese lantern plant. It was doing beautiful, and then we got snow about 2 weekends ago, and it really damaged it. But the good news is that it's still surviving. It'll do well, and so I'm not worried about it. Here's another fuchsia that comes up every year. I have my bleeding heart over in this one. And as you can see, this beacon silver plant, this is the same plant that I have in that little triangle garden. And this hasn't spread much throughout the winter, so it's slow growing in certain areas, and the more shade, the slower growing it is. Then of course, I've got my other lilac tree here. That's what that is back there, is a lace lilac. This is another lilac, and it's old and it's a little decrepit, but it's beautiful when it blooms. Okay, so now that I've shown you the yard, I'm going to go ahead and get started before the rain actually does come, because I am feeling a little bit of drops. So we'll see how far I get. Okay, with that said, I'm gonna get busy. This plant here, I'm gonna cut way, way down. I don't know if you guys can see or if you're familiar with this, but if you can see, I don't know if you can see, there's like a milky substance. It's pretty sticky. I don't know what, if you guys know what that is intended for, let me know. I'm sure that there's a purpose for that milk that comes out of it. Maybe it's how glue is made, because it is pretty sticky. Now, I'm going to be clearing this whole area out, cleaning it up. I'm getting pretty close to finishing between the rocks here as far as weeds go. So yeah, so I'm going to continue in spite of the rain. It's only sprinkling, so it's not super bad. And hopefully my camera will hold up. Okay, I'm going to get back to it. You guys see this? That plant that I was trimming earlier, it tends to flower, and then some of the seeds will spread out and you'll get little shoots like this come out. But they're really easy to pull out at this point. So yeah, it's not invasive. I don't want to say that it's invasive, but it does tend to put out other shoots. It has officially started to rain. So I'm not going to put you through trimming this because you saw me trimming the other one. But I'm going to do the same thing. Hopefully stay out of the rain. And then I'll show you the end results. Well, it didn't quite rain as bad as I was thinking it was going to. It's still sprinkling a little bit, but it hasn't stopped me yet. I went ahead and pruned this plant right back here. If you remember, it was quite large. It wasn't quite as large as the first one that I tackled. It wasn't quite as long, and of a trimming as the first one either. Then I cut back. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll try to lower you. I cut this one here, which was flowering, and it was just covering all this area up. So I pruned it way back, and it's not going to hurt it at all. So if you can see where I cut it, there's a lot of new plants that are growing. So, and let's see, there's probably 4 leaves, which is okay, or a cluster. And so it's going to force, just like this, it's going to force new leaves to pop out. Because it was so large, it was actually cutting the light out from this, and that's why and for it to be watered, so that's why those leaves are kind of yellow. But it's going to do great. It'll bloom again. So I'm not going to put you guys through a lot of this. If you guys find it boring at all, just skip forward. But if you do that, you may miss something. So bear with me. I'm going to try to keep this video to a minimum where you can at least see the before and after. So yeah, it is sprinkling a little bit, but for the most part it's doable, so I'm not too worried about it. Hopefully it doesn't really pour on me, so I gotta get to it. This part here, I'm going to start with this because this part here was from a previous video. So if you didn't catch that video, go catch that video. But the reason I am walking you through this is because it just leads to the part where I did this video. And as you can see, it totally opened it up. My rose bush over here was covering all this fern and chairs. The weeds are all picked up, even throughout all the rock. These 2 plants, one to my right and to my left, were overgrown and needed some tender loving care and a lot of trimming back. Now I rarely get any weeds in this area, and the reason for that is probably because I have a lot of rock in the yard, gravel type rock mixed with the dirt, so it keeps a lot of the weeds from coming up, and when they do come up, it is very shallow, very surface type weeds, so they're very easy. Now from this point on, it was, really easy to clean up. There was very minimal weeds. Now I don't put any type of weed killer or anything in my yard because we have pets. We have a cat, and we used to have a dog, and now we have chickens, and the last thing I want to do is poison them. So yeah, there you have it. Have a good night, you guys.